everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today's video is finally going to be my contour and highlight video. I know so many of you have been wanting this. This is probably one of my most requested videos besides my makeup collection, which I already did. I will leave it up here if you guys could go click on and watch. So today I'm going to be showing you how to powder and cream both highlight and contour. Now it took me a while to actually sit down and film this because there are so many other contour videos out there and I wanted mine to be a little bit different. So I actually learned this technique while I was in makeup school, and this is actually the technique you use typically to contour a man's face that has a little bit more like structure and definition, but it's also round. So I have a big round old face. It obviously now doesn't look as round because of how I highlighted and contoured, and I know there are a bunch of photos going around the internet and have been circulating the internet for a long time kind of teaching everyone how to highlight and contour, but it really just depends on your face shape. I mean, I used to contour the way that most people contour. I'm still doing that. It's just a little bit more of a refined technique that I'm doing and where I'm kind of placing those products and why. I've been trying it out for a few weeks off camera and I fell in love with how this looked on my face, and I've had a lot of compliments from my family also noticing that my face looks slimmer, and it's just because of the products that I'm using and the technique that I've learned. So I wanted to sit down today and show you guys how to do this. If you've been wanting to learn how to contour and highlight a round face and want to see my updated routine, then let's just get into it. So as you can see, I already did my foundation. So I'm going to start with my concealer. Today I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I've been trying this out recently. I'm using the shade Fair Neutral. This stuff is really pigmented, so I'm just going to be doing 3 little dots, and I'm not going to actually use this to completely highlight under my eyes. I'll show you what else I use when I'm doing cream products, but this is lighter than my face, so I could just use this if I wanted to. I'm not going to be bringing it all the way up like some people do because I don't want my face to look a lot rounder, so I'm just going to blend this out with my L'Oreal sponge. You guys can just see how pigmented those little dots were, and I'm really focusing it right in this inner corner and just lightly tapping out the excess. And then now that we have that blended out, I like to kind of do that first. I'm also going to put a little bit, just like a dot on my chin, a little bit down my nose, and a tiny bit on my forehead just to kind of balance everything out. Again, we are going to be going in with another highlighting product, but if you just want to use concealer, this is what you would do. And I'm not going to bounce around my chin. I'm just going to be pushing this product in where I place it, as well as my nose. Just really push where we put that product, and on the forehead. So you can kind of already see I do have a little bit of a highlighted look going on right now, but I'm going to go in with a little bit more. So what I typically like to do is use a highlighting pen. I have 2 different kinds. This one is from MAC. This is their Prep and Prime highlighting pen. I have it in Light Boost. I also have a drugstore version. This is very similar to the Touche Éclat by YSL, and this is the L'Oreal Magic Lumi highlighter. I have it in the color Light number 862. I'm actually going to use the MAC one, but if you want something a little bit more affordable, the L'Oreal one is a great alternative. So with this product, I'm just going to twist a little bit up. This one has a little bit more of a yellow cast, which I like to really highlight under my eyes. So I'm going to be applying a little bit of this in the triangle motion, but again, not bringing it super high up into the temples, doing it a little bit underneath where we put that Shape Tape. And I'm also going to bring this on my forehead again, down my nose a little bit, and then on my chin. With the same sponge, I'm just going to be pressing this into my skin. The yellow really does help brighten. I know a lot of people also like to use pink, but because I do have more of a neutral undertone, I find that yellow works better for me. I really have been loving these pens from MAC. They're very lightweight, so they're perfect for highlighting, which is why I also like to go in with a concealer beforehand just to really hide those dark circles and then bring the light where I want it to. You can also kind of bring it on the sides of your nose just to kind of create a natural contour, which we will be contouring our nose later, but if you just wanted to use like a highlighting product to bring it on the sides of your nose, it kind of creates that natural shadow for itself. Before we set that, I am going to be showing you how to cream contour as well. I don't do this on a regular basis, to be quite honest with you. So when I use creams, I do like to use my Anastasia cream contour kit. I have it in the color Light, and I like to go in with a mixture of Java and Light Sculpt, which are these 2. And then to apply this, I'm going to be using a Sephora foundation brush. brush. You can use anything synthetic, anything smaller than this would be awesome as well. I'm just going to be taking a little bit of this, and the most important part of contouring around face is to really make sure you want to create that shadow and definition and not highlight the areas where you don't want anything to be highlighted. So it really just depends on where you want things to kind of pop out or kind of be defined. I do like to typically go in right under my ear, the top of my ear, and bring it down slightly, which is exactly what you would do normally for contouring, but because again I have a little bit more of a rounder face, I like to kind of bring it down. You just want to lightly drag it down and kind of flip your brush on its side. Right where your smile lines are, you're going to bring it down just before that. Kind of like that. So the next part I like to contour is my forehead. Now I know I used to do this a lot and I found that it really did not help my face shape at all. I used to bring my contour all up here where my hairline was, and that's not really what you want to do, especially when you have a round face. So I'm going to leave like this part of my face blank, but really only contour these sides of my temples right here. And you can also bring it down here if you want to, so it can kind of just like squish in. I want to leave all of the highlighted parts of my face in the middle and then really sculpt everything inwards. Now the last place you really want to focus on contouring is right on the jawline. I know this can be really hard. It took me a while to learn this also, but it's really, really important when you want to create a really strong and defined line. So the first place I like to go is right next to my ear. You will kind of feel the bone there, and you will want to create a straight line down. That's going to really create that strong angle for you. And then I like to do this kind of looking upwards so I don't get product on the side. So I'm going to be looking up and dragging this straight underneath my jawline. So when I'm actually looking at you, you will not be able to see this, but as you can see looking up, you can definitely see that the contour is there. So to start blending this out, I'm going to be using my Real Techniques. This is the sculpting brush. This is great for either cream contour or cream bronzer. It does have this nice angle to it, so it really fits nicely in the depths of your cheekbones. I'm going to start by just kind of patting this into my skin and doing light buffing motions. You just want to make sure that you're not really going to move that product anywhere, but you can see already it's starting to blend out and create that shape that we want. And then for the jawline, again, same thing, just make sure you blend it really well and kind of drag it downwards so it kind of blends in with your neck a little bit. It doesn't look too crazy. So I'm just going to repeat the same steps on the other side. I'm just going to fast forward it and still show you guys what I'm doing, but we're going to move on to the nose after this. So the face contour is pretty much done in terms of the cream products. I'm now going to go in and do my nose. I'm going to take the same brush and the same color. I'm actually just going to be using Light Sculpt, which is this medium shade. When you want to do a nose contour, I see a lot of people just bring it straight down, and that's great. If you really want to elongate your nose, that's what you'd want to do. For me, I want to make sure that it is long and kind of stout. So I'm going to start in the center of my eye where my brow is and kind of just drag it straight down. You don't have to start this high, but I feel like it just makes it look more natural to kind of go naturally into the arch of your brow. You really don't need a lot of product with this either because you're going to be blending it out. So now that I have drawn those two lines going straight down my nose, as you can see, I also blending it a little bit down into the center. If you do have a wider nose than me, I would also recommend bringing that contour shade on the nostrils of your nose. It really does help create that definition on your nose. You could also just use your fingers for this. I'm just going to use the same brush. We don't have to be super precise since again we're going to be going in with a powder later on. I'm quickly going to go back under my eyes and set everything. I'm just going to be using my Cody airspun powder. This is the translucent extra coverage powder. I'm just going to be taking that on my Real Techniques. This is the contour brush and really just pressing this into my skin. And then because I am super oily, I do have to set the rest of my face also. I feel like this is also really important to make sure that the powders you're going to be putting on top of the creams we did do not skip or anything like that. For this, I'm actually going to be using the Kat Von D translucent powder. I'm just going to be pressing this into my skin, making sure all of those powders are set. I also like to use this time to wipe away the extra powder that's under our eyes. I typically use a powder on an everyday basis when I do contouring, so this is just again that extra step. But for powder, I like using either the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, or I've been really loving this one by NARS. This is the Talia powder. It's like a little duo for highlighting and contouring. But today I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette because I feel like a lot of people have this already. So in terms of brushes, this this is the one that I've been using recently. This one is by Morphe. This is the M143. A couple of other brushes, if you have them on hand, are also great to use. This is like an angled blush brush that is also really good for contouring. Another really great alternative that I used to use all the time is something like this. This is the Luxie 512 small contouring brush. This is also very similar to the MAC 109 brush. One other brush I really like using also is the NARS Ita brush. I don't know where mine is at the moment, but that's another great alternative if you want something really precise to apply your contour powders. But I've been loving using this. I feel like it just really fits in the hollows of my cheeks and it makes my contour look so airbrushed. So actually what I like doing is just kind of dipping in all three of these shades and just really making sure to pat off the excess. We're gonna go in that same area we placed the cream. So right under the cheekbones, you can kind of feel where your cheekbone is. So it's kind of typically following the top of your ear going down. So I'm gonna start there and again drag it forward like so. So as you can see, a little bit more definition again on the jawline, also around the bottom of the ear, under the chin area. Another tip when you're blending out your contour, especially with a powder, is you never want to drag it downwards to blend it. You always want to kind of fluff it upwards to make sure that you have a really nice clean line, a very defined line. So make sure you're blending upwards and not dragging it down. It's also really important to make sure you blend whatever you're blending in your hair into your hairline so it's like one color. I'm next going to go on to do my nose contour with a powder. I use a brush like this. This is by Look Good Feel Better. It's just like an angled blending brush. I love this. I just love the shape for it to really get into the hollows of my nose. For this, I'm only going to be using this middle shade, which is called Shadow Play. You literally need like the smallest amount of this. Same area we're going to be following underneath our brow, dragging it straight down where we put that cream. This is just going to set the cream and kind of intensify our nose contour. I do really like a strong nose contour. I feel like it really helps balance the entire face out, and I feel like if you haven't tried it yet, you should definitely do it. It makes a huge difference and I just love the way it looks. This next part is totally optional. This is just what I like to do also to highlight under my eyes. I'm going to be taking the MAC shaping powder in the color Emphasize. This is a beautiful, very nice sheer white powder with a little bit of like micro reflex in it, and you really can't see it on your face, but it looks beautiful. So I'm gonna go back in with that same contour brush and just kind of press this under my eyes. This is just an extra step to really brighten under there. I'm also gonna bring that down my nose, my forehead a little bit, and then right in the center of my chin. The last thing I'm gonna do is take a little bit more of my loose powder, and this is where I like to go in and clean everything up while I finish off the rest of my face. I'm just gonna be taking a little bit more of that powder on my sponge. So the place I really like to like bake my face is right under our contour, and you're gonna kind of create that like weird triangle shape so you can kind of see where we place that contour, and then I'm not gonna bring it down. I think this is a necessary step too, so I'm just gonna drag it down, especially if you want to clean up this part if you feel like it's a little bit too much. So as we're letting that like do its thing and bake for a little bit, I'm gonna go on to bronzer. This is the IT Cosmetics Sunshine and a Compact Bronzer, and I like to take this on like a tapered powder brush. This is the Morphe E4, and for my bronzer, I'm just gonna kind of warm up the outer perimeters of my face also, so kind of where I'm following that contour, just bringing it a little bit upwards. Now for blush, I'm going to go in with my MAC blush just since I have it right in front of me. This is a Pro blush in the color Cantaloupe. It is absolutely beautiful and it is a matte color. And to apply that, I'm going to be using my Morphe M142. Kind of start at the apples of my cheeks and swipe upwards. You don't want to apply too much, just like that. And you're really going to focus it, bringing it upwards to kind of create that, again, elongated look. And then last but not least, for highlight today, I'm going to use the Smashbox. This is the Spotlight Palette in Pearl, the one that Casey Holmes did with Smashbox. So to apply this, I'm going to be using my Anastasia A23. I'm just going to kind of mix all of them together. For this, I'm going to be applying it right on top. Oh, that's intense. And not bring it too far in into the middle of my eye. I want to keep it right here, kind of bring it upwards, following all of those other steps we did before. If you want to be extra, you can bring a little bit down your nose. So now it's just going to be time to wipe away the bakage. So I'm just going to take a big old brush and just kind of wipe everything away. You guys can already see just how nicely that cleaned everything up, and if it's still too intense, just take your powder brush and just kind of blend the excess powder into this part, because I know it can look a little crazy at first, but I promise you in pictures it looks so good, and also to just kind of diffuse that line. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all really liked it. Thank you all so much for being patient with me. I wanted to make sure this video was going to be very educational as well as informative informative to some of you all, since I know you've been waiting so patiently for this video. So thank you again, and also thank you for watching. If you guys liked it, remember to give it a big thumbs up. As always, I'll leave all the products that I talked about and used on my face today down in the description box if you're interested. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I love you all so very much. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!